Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel. I'm Julienne and I'm a polymer clay sculptor. I usually make human characters, but this time I'm making the light dragon from Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. To start, I've printed out a rough draft of the length I want my light dragon to have. I'll use this template to measure out the length of the armature wire I'll need. I've bent the wire into a spiral shape with its head pointing upward into the sky. I've also added another wire sticking out of the lower part of the dragon and secured it with some foil. I'm somewhat recreating one of the memories in Tears of the Kingdom, and I want it to appear like it's floating. The additional wire will come in handy later. I didn't want to go flying all around Hyrule in the game, chasing the light dragon, so I just googled some photos of it. I needed close-up shots as well as the other details of its body. I started by wrapping the body with white clay. In the polymer clay community, keeping the white clay clean is the bane of our existence. It picks up even the smallest of dirt particles on our work area. But this time, I don't have to worry about keeping it clean because I will eventually cover it with scales. I then added this neon yellow part on the underside of the dragon, thinking I could make it look like it's glowing, but yeah, I'll eventually cover this up with a darker green. I then attach these little blobs of white clay where I'll connect the arms later. I'll bake the entire piece for the first time to kind of save my progress and not deform it when I add more details to it. This is the part where I covered the underside of the dragon with dark green clay. At first, I was hoping I could make the neon green peek through, but I guess I just gave up halfway. I set the body aside and proceeded to make the arms. I was going to just make them without armature, but they were too thin to hold their shape, so I added the wire later on. Then I drilled holes through the arm joints and inserted the wire of the arms into the body. I posed and adjusted them accordingly and baked it again to save my progress. Now let's sculpt the face. This isn't a typical human face, so I had to have my references always open on my computer or my iPad, just so I can look at it as much as I can. I'm only making the base of the face for now and make the small details later as finishing touches. This is pretty self-explanatory, so I'll just let you watch this clip. The next step I did was make the spikes on the dragon's back. I wanted to do this first before the scales so they look like the spikes are embedded into the body. Then we bake for the third time. It's time to make the scales. I cover the part that I'll work on with liquid clay and make my way down until the tail part. I also mixed some yellow clay for the scales surrounding the spikes on the dragon's back. After painstakingly attaching the scales, and baking of course, let's move on to the hair. I used the same yellow colored clay for it. I pre-made small teardrop-shaped pieces in different sizes so attaching them to the head is easier. I used a thin sculpting tool to blend the hair to the head and added a little bit of texture. So I forgot to film making the horns, but here's me making the talons with the same colored clay I used for the horns. I like mixing clay colors instead of buying a bunch of different shades of the same color, but it's definitely a workout for my hands. Polymer clay is hard when unconditioned, so I'll give it a few minutes of rolling and kneading first. Now I know that I won't be touching any more detail on the head part. I'm free to make the smaller details for the face. Now finally, let's work on the base. I wanted it to have a cloud base to make it seem like it's soaring in the air. And plain old cotton balls would work, but I wanted it to have a solid shape. The plain cotton would just make it very unstable and inconsistent, so I made use of this foam clay that I bought a year ago. I got a 4-inch clear acrylic base, put some basic school glue so the clay has something to adhere to, and just started randomly building up the cloud shape. I'm still going to be covering this with actual cotton, so I didn't have to be very detailed about it. I'm generally just using this for when I need a piece to be lightweight, because polymer clay is heavy compared to a lot of types of clay. And it's air dry, so I didn't have to put the whole thing in the oven to cure. I'm also going to create cloud shapes that I could put in the background. These will be covered in cotton as well. I let them dry overnight. Once dry, I coated them with school glue and just randomly attached some cotton and shaped them until I was satisfied with how they look. I also didn't film this part, but I took a rectangular shaped acrylic and attached it perpendicularly to the cloud base with UV resin. This has to be very secure because I'll be mounting the dragon on this part, not the actual base, to make it look like it's floating. I also coated the base with cotton. And it's finally time to assemble. I removed the protective paper from the acrylic pieces and mounted the dragon to it. I love how the floating effect turned out, and the acrylic background is actually really useful for the clouds as well. And that's it! A huge thank you to my patrons. Thank you for being here and the support you've given me so far. You all are the very best. Thank you!